Let's get some more analysis on this from Bociurkiw, who joins us live from Odessa. He's a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Centre and Global Affairs analyst. Michael, thank you so much for being with us. So we've seen fears in Europe that Ukraine could be left out of these peace negotiations, and then today Zelensky saying he'll only meet with the Russians after he's hashed out a plan with Trump. How do you see this playing out for Ukraine?
Good to be with you. Well, I don't think, sadly, Mr. Zelensky is in a position to call the shots. I think we're in a scenario right now where you have the United States and Russia unilaterally getting on the express train. You have Mr. Zelensky figuratively on the platform running to get onto this train. And then you have the Europeans at the ticket turnstile still trying to get onto the platform and have an input into everything that's happening. So it's a real mess right now. And, you just played that clip of the U.S. Official. And whatever J.D. Vance or Pete Hegseth said today in Poland at the Munich Security Conference, I don't think we need to put much stock into it, because at the end of the day, it's Mr. Trump that tends to overrule them or contradict them and do what he wants. And, it seems that, for example, Elon Musk and his kids are spending more time in the Oval Office than the vice president himself. So it's new uncharted territory. It almost feels like we're in a free fall of the rules-based international order.
And what do you make of European leaders' role here? Are they looking more and more toothless and like they can't really unite and come up with a united position on what's going on? We've seen Zelensky calling for support from Europe, and it seems that, we've seen the Vice President Vance come in today and issue a fiery speech which left the room almost barely applauding it all and just almost in shock. And the US calling the shots here. So does Europe need to step up, but in a way that would give more support to Zelensky?
Yeah, it was quite shocking to see the American Vice President lecture the Europeans. It really put a chill in the room. But, I was also watching the EU chief, Ursula von der Leyen, speak today. And, she said everything right, very nice things about Ukraine. But I'm sorry, at the end of the day, it was also Europe that dragged its feet to arm Ukraine. Remember the story of the tanks. Remember the story of the jet fighters. It was all a very drip approach. However, I will say something positive today that I heard from Mr. Zelensky that involves Turkey, for example. He said that he's going to be traveling to the UAE shortly to discuss exchange of prisoners potentially. Then he's going to Saudi Arabia, and then he'll be going to Turkey to consult with Mr. Erdogan, he said. So these are positive things, because I think with the United States acting so unilaterally and looking so inward, this is an opportunity for Turkey, for the Gulf states to play a much bigger role in the process to bring peace to Ukraine, something which I think everyone in this region wants.
And finally, Michael, I want to ask about the strike that we saw on Chernobyl nuclear plant overnight. What did you make of that? And should that trigger alarm bells for Western leaders?
Yeah, absolutely. We had the strike on Chernobyl. We had the strike nearby me here in Odessa of the port infrastructure. And then we also had 2 Russian drones crash in Moldova. And we had a violation of Romanian airspace, a NATO country, by Russian drones. So take all of that together. But it was especially the strike on Chernobyl. I've covered Chernobyl. I've been there many times. And this, yes, should have set off alarm bells in European capitals, because this is, again, as we saw in 1986, this is the Kremlin playing with fire, as we've seen also at the biggest nuclear power plant in Zaporizhia, which the Russians occupy. We've had many, many close calls there. So something needs to be done very, very quickly, or otherwise it's, I hate to be right sometimes, but I have long predicted that if the Russians don't get their way, they may do something very careless, like do a deliberate strike at Zaporizhia, just what happened in Chernobyl.
Bociurkiw, a global affairs analyst and non-resident senior fellow at Atlantic Council's Eurasia Centre, thank you so much for your time here on TRT World.